They're calling it a new war. Not in Ukraine, not in Gaza, but in the Caribbean. Trump's Justice Department has quietly cleared the path for kill strikes on cartels. Boats hit, bodies missing, and lawyers silenced under classified orders. What began as a border fight may now be a global manhunt. The Trump administration has reportedly produced a classified legal opinion justifying lethal force against suspected drug traffickers and cartels, even beyond those publicly designated as terrorist organizations. Officials familiar with the document told CNN that the opinion by the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel gives the president broad authority to treat cartel members as enemy combatants and order strikes without judicial review. The opinion underpins a new wave of U.S. military operations in the Caribbean, where at least 4 strikes have been carried out against boats allegedly linked to drug cartels. The Pentagon has described the targets as unlawful combatants, citing the opinion's framework. However, some military lawyers have privately questioned the legality of such actions, warning that the approach blurs the line between law enforcement and armed conflict. Sarah Harrison, a former Pentagon lawyer now with Crisis Group, said the interpretation effectively grants the president unilateral power to wage war far beyond congressional authorization.
If the OLC opinion authorizing strikes on cartels is as broad as it seems, it would mean the DOJ has interpreted the president to have such extraordinary powers that he alone can decide to prosecute a war far broader than what Congress authorized after the attacks on 9/11. By this logic, any small, medium or big group that is trafficking drugs into the US, the administration could claim it amounts to an attack against the United States and respond with lethal force.
Several Judge Advocate General offices told CNN that the operations appear inconsistent with international law, but noted that the OLC opinion overrode their objections.
The way forward is just to eat it and put your head down and act in accordance with Hegseth's new policies. No JAG is trying to rock the boat or get noticed.
Unnamed Pentagon lawyer. Source CNN, October 6, 2025. Attorney General Pam Bondi is expected to face questions in Congress about the opinion's scope as lawmakers press for its release. Meanwhile, 2 people familiar with the matter said the administration has expanded the CIA's authorities to conduct lethal targeting in Latin America under a renewed presidential directive. A former senior intelligence official confirmed the revision builds on an existing 1980s-era finding for covert counter-narcotics operations. Meanwhile, the American Department of Treasury has imposed new sanctions on a network of Mexican companies accused of supplying chemicals used in the production of fentanyl for the Sinaloa cartel's Chapitos faction, led by the sons of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. Officials said 12 firms and 8 executives operating in the pharmaceutical, laboratory and real estate sectors were involved in purchasing and delivering the precursors that fuel the cartel's synthetic drug trade. The sanctions freeze all US-based assets and bar American entities from conducting transactions with those listed. Among the firms targeted is Summerlab, which was previously sanctioned in 2023 but reportedly continued operations through new corporate fronts. Treasury officials said the action aims to disrupt the financial and logistical systems that sustain the cartel's production network. Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence, John K. Hurley, said the decision reflects Trump's broader national security strategy to dismantle narcotics networks viewed as a threat to the United States. The Trump administration has recently expanded its designation of Latin American cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, a move that gives Washington greater authority to pursue criminal and military action against them. Officials acknowledge that groups like the Sinaloa cartel are primarily profit-driven rather than ideological. Yet the scale of their operations continues to challenge U.S. counter-narcotics efforts. The announcement comes as the Trump administration intensifies its campaign against cartels, following recent military strikes on suspected drug smuggling vessels in the Caribbean. According to internal federal data reviewed by CBS News, illegal crossings along the US-Mexico border have fallen to their lowest level since 1970. Border Patrol recorded roughly 238,000 apprehensions in fiscal year 2025, marking a sharp decline from the record 2.2 million crossings seen in 2022 under the Biden administration. Officials attribute the drop to Trump's aggressive border policies, which include expanded military presence, restrictions on asylum, and swift deportations. The administration has also ended most migrant release programs and strengthened detention measures for those entering illegally. White House spokeswoman Abigail Jackson said Trump has delivered on his promise to secure the southern border.
President Trump has overwhelmingly delivered on his promise to secure our southern border. As a result, Americans are safer. Unvetted criminal illegal aliens and dangerous drugs are no longer pouring over our border unchecked. And for all the Democrats who claimed it was impossible to secure the border, or that they needed a new policy, turns out all we needed was a new president.
Experts at the Migration Policy Institute noted that the trend began during the Biden administration, but accelerated under Trump's enforcement strategy, creating what analysts describe as a new normal in migration flows. The approach, however, has drawn legal and political backlash. Civil rights groups, including the ACLU, have denounced the measures as unconstitutional and inconsistent with asylum law. Meanwhile, protests have erupted in major cities following federal raids targeting undocumented residents. On the ground, local officials report a visible shift. In El Paso, John Martin, who manages a migrant shelter network, said he is no longer housing border crosses. Noting the policy's clear effect on migration patterns, he said, "We're just not seeing the people."